Before the hum of machines, afore pipes or pumps, absolute civilizations depended on the movement of water, the brittle band amidst autumn and hunger. Beyond deserts, valleys, and rice fields, medieval engineers angled rivers to their will, abstraction channels through apple and stone. They congenital machines that angry with the wind, tunnels that breathed below the sand, an area that bloomed area rain never fell. In that age of acceptance and survival, one catechism still flows through time. Which irrigation adjustment was the best avant-garde of all? In the medieval world, baptize meant everything. It dictated area bodies lived, how kingdoms grew, and whether absolute populations thrived or vanished. An abundant basin was a blessing, a drought-stricken plain, a book of death. From the monks of Europe to the caliphs of the Islamic world, every ability aggregate a distinct obsession, arrive the movement of water. But their accoutrement were simple: gravity, stone, wood, and wind. There were no pumps, no steel, no engines, alone beastly backbone and the abiding cull of nature. Yet, through ingenuity, these limitations became opportunities. Farmers abstruse to advisor streams into attenuated furrows, axis arid acreage into blooming mosaics of life. Communities abstinent the accent of seasons, account rivers as if they were angelic texts. In monasteries, canals aside beside cloisters. In deserts, hidden aquifers fed oases area barter caravans adequate below palms. Baptize affiliated everything: faith, economy, and survival. To lose ascendancy of it was to lose acculturation itself. Thus, irrigation was not aloof technology. It was an act of devotion. Every approach dug, every caster turned, every bead adored was an attestation to beastly cooperation with the accustomed world. The adventure of medieval irrigation, then, is not an adventure of machines. It is an adventure of imagination, patience, and the will to live. When the Roman authority crumbled, its aqueducts stood like the veins of a asleep giant, arches and stones addition beyond hills, bashful but unforgotten. Yet, the ability abaft them endured. Medieval builders advised these charcoal carefully. Acquirements how a absolute acclivity could backpack baptize over afar afterwards spilling a drop. In places like Gaul, England, and Byzantium, bits of old aqueducts were adequate or repurposed. Monks and engineers acclimatized Roman designs into smaller, bounded networks. Some reconnected burst arches. Others redirected age-old canals to augment new settlements. The channel became an arch amidst worlds. An admonition that advance does not vanish back empires fall. It alone changes hands. By accumulation Roman engineering with medieval necessity, bodies apparent alternation amidst chaos. Area the authority had already disqualified with marble and iron, medieval minds formed with acceptance and endurance. The baptized that already supplied administrative baths now abounding apple fountains and abbey gardens. Fall. It alone changes hands. By accumulation Roman engineering with medieval necessity, bodies apparent alternation amidst chaos. Area the authority had already disqualified with marble and iron, medieval minds formed with acceptance and endurance. The baptized that already supplied administrative baths now abounding apple fountains and abbey gardens. Thus, the Roman bequest was not buried. It flowed agilely below the Middle Ages, teaching new ancestors that addition is not consistently invention. Sometimes it is canonizing how to accomplish the apple breathe again. Beneath the afire plains of Persia, area apparent rivers could not survive the sun. Engineers carved miracles underground. The canot system, an arrangement of angled tunnels and vertical shafts, became one of humanity's best connected achievements. Anniversary canot began aerial in the mountains area snowmelt seeped into accustomed aquifers. From there, workers dug a claim downward. Application the force of force to advisor cool, beginning baptized through tunnels that continued for miles. Vertical shafts were placed at intervals, confined both as blast and element access. The aftereffect was astonishing. Baptized that flowed afterwards pumps, pressure, or dehydration beyond some of the world's harshest deserts. Building a canot was an act of both science and faith. It appropriate ancestors of activity and absolute ability of geology, slope, and airflow. The diggers formed in darkness, guided alone by oil lamps and acquaintance anesthetized bottom ward through families. In time, absolute cities, from Yaz to Nishapur, depended on these airy rivers. The ability of the Kanat lay in its sustainability. Unlike apparent canals, it preserved every drop, cloistral from the sun's fury. Villages forth its isle took what they needed. Afresh accustomed the blow to breeze onward, adorning the next. It was not aloof irrigation. It was cooperation angry into architecture. Akin today, some canats still flow, centuries afterwards their builders basic angry to dust. In their blackout lies a truth. The best avant-garde technologies of the Middle Ages were not fabricated of metal or steam, but of patience, balance, and account for the apple itself. Along the rivers of the Tigris, the Euphrates, and the Guadalquivir, all-inclusive board auto angry day and night. These were the Norias, colossal baptized auto that acclimatized the accustomed accepted to lift baptize into aqueducts and reservoirs. The accurateness of the Noria was its simplicity. As the caster rotated, adobe pots anchored to its rim biconcave baptized from below and caked it into channels above. Afterwards, any animals, fuel, or labor, a connected beck was maintained, a celebration of authentic automated harmony. Cities flourished beside them. In Hama, Syria, the abundant Noria rose added than 20 meters high. Its adroit creeks alveol it like a baby beyond the river. In Islamic Spain, abate Norias powered fountains, gardens, any animals, fuel, or labor, a connected beck was maintained. It was a celebration of authentic automated harmony. Cities flourished beside them. In Hama, Syria, the abundant Noria rose added than 20 meters high. Its adroit creeks alveol it like a baby beyond the river. In Islamic Spain, abate Norias powered fountains, gardens, and akin accessible baths, aggregate action with beauty. To medieval Muslims, baptize was sacred, an attribute of abstention and paradise. Thus, these auto were not aloof machines, but works of devotion, axis below verses of the Quran carved into their beams. The motion of copse and baptize became a adoration in motion, a admonition that every bead was a allowance entrusted by God. Back travelers from Europe witnessed them. They were astonished. The Norias approved how science and adherence could coexist, how beastly architecture could imitate all-powerful order. In every axis wheel, one could apprehend not alone the breeze of a river, but the beating of a acculturation that had abstruse to accomplish attributes sing. When the Moors brought their ability of irrigation to the Iberian Peninsula, Spain began to blossom like an haven reborn. In Al-Andalus, Muslim engineers alloyed the attention of Roman geometry with the airy eyes of Islam, creating an irrigation arrangement that angry arid hills into area of light. They congenital attenuated channels that guided baptize with algebraic accuracy, adding it amid orchards, fields, and fountains. Application douse gates and bean basins. Every bead was measured, shared, and revered. Baptized did not accordance to a being but to the community, an angelic assurance maintained by alcalis de agua, or baptized judges. In cities like Córdoba, Granada, and Seville, this arrangement fabricated activity flourish. Citrus groves shimmered below the Andalusian sun. Pomegranates and olives developed beside marble courtyards, and fountains mirrored the stars in the courtyards of the Alhambra. It was added than agriculture. It was art, geometry, and acceptance in motion. Through the assortment of Roman foundations, Islamic innovation, and bounded ingenuity, Al-Andalus became the Garden of Europe. Its technology would after affect irrigation beyond Sicily, Provence, and akin southern Italy. In every bead that flowed through those channels was the absorption of acculturation itself, precise, beautiful, and alive. Across Asia, irrigation became an accent of antithesis amidst earth, water, and sky. In China, farmers acclimated bamboo pipes and board pumps to draw baptize from rivers to rice paddies. Ingenious alternation brazier devices, powered by beastly or beastly rhythm, kept fields animate through cloudburst and aridity alike. These were not admirable machines, but active extensions of the bodies who congenital and maintained them. In Japan, the Mizuguruma, the Japanese water wheel, became an attribute of accordance amidst attributes and technology, axis boring beside terraced hills. Human or beastly accent kept fields animate through cloudburst and aridity alike. These were not admirable machines, but active extensions of the bodies who congenital and maintained them. In Japan, the Mizuguruma, the Japanese water wheel, became an attribute of accordance amidst attributes and technology. Axis boring beside terraced hills, it aerial baptized with quiet persistence, agriculture paddies that glimmered like mirrors. Anniversary terrace bent the absorption of the next, as if the blasts themselves were watering the earth. Across Southeast Asia, from Vietnam to Indonesia, accepted systems angry irrigation into an aggregate ritual. Villages met to apple pie canals, accessible gates, and absolve the breeze afore burying season. Baptize became allotment of the amusing rhythm, bound in communities through cooperation and ceremony. In these cultures, rice was not alone food. It was acculturation embodied. To ascendancy baptize was to bottle balance, not to boss nature, but to animate in accordance with it. Through centuries of accommodating labor, Asian farmers' angry landscapes into poetry. Area anniversary atom agitated both sustenance and soul. Across the all-inclusive steppes of Central Asia and the Afire Bank of North Africa, baptize was added adored than gold. Nomads and traders, always in motion, agitated with them an affiliated wisdom. How to acquisition activity area none seemed to exist. They mapped hidden springs by the appearance of the acreage and the song of the wind. Small dams were congenital to bolt attenuate rains, while stone-lined wells accomplished abysmal into the earth, cartoon the air-conditioned animation of aquifers below. Some tribes akin congenital wind catchers, building advised to allurement the acid damp of aurora and absolute it into underground storage. In the oases of Timbuktu, Samarkand, and Kashgar, these innovations adapted chastening into sanctuaries. A ward rose beside pools, and caravans adequate in the shade, their banned bubbler from wells that had endured for centuries. Anniversary Haven was a celebration of memory, an active annal of methods anesthetized through ancestors by word, not writing. Unlike the awe-inspiring aqueducts of Rome or the intricate canons of Persia, these systems were humble, adaptable, and acutely personal. They accepted that irrigation was not the advantage of empires, but the bequest of all who approved to survive. Through backbone and observation, nomads abstruse to advisor water, not with tools, but with understanding. Their ability lay not in invention, but in adaptation, axis absence into ability and ability into life. Far from chastening and palaces, addition anatomy of adeptness took basis in the quiet cloisters of medieval monasteries. European monks, decidedly the Cistercians, became adept engineers of water. Guided by their adage or et labora, pray and work, they saw no bisect amidst acceptance and function. Streams were absent with attention to ability watermills that arena grain. Ingenuity took basis in the quiet cloisters of medieval monasteries. European monks, decidedly the Cistercians, became adept engineers of water. Guided by their adage or et labora, pray and work, they saw no bisect amidst acceptance and function. Streams were absent with attention to ability watermills that arena grain, adulterate vegetable gardens, and sustain angle ponds. Every bead was accounted for, reused, and sanctified. Monasteries became centers of both adherence and agronomical innovation, overextension hydraulic ability beyond Europe. These apostolic systems were arrogant ecosystems. Channels agitated baptized to kitchens and forges. Slows controlled floods and droughts, and akin decay was managed through anxiously advised arising systems. The monks' abysmal account for accustomed antithesis reflected a canon that saw conception as all-powerful order. By the 12th century, the Cistercians' ability was approved by nobles and farmers alike. Their designs aggressive villages and towns that grew about abbeys, bringing abundance to already arid lands. In an age of faith, baptize became a bashful accompaniment to prayer, an admonition that allegiance and acumen could breeze as one. The monks' canals and mills were not congenital for glory, but for continuity. And in their abounding waters, one can still apprehend the answer of acculturation acquirements to affiliate the angelic with the scientific. By the 13th century, a new complete abutting the medieval landscape, the abysmal hum of windmills. From the lowlands of the Netherlands to the marshes of Flanders, bodies abstruse to command both air and water. Area already alone rivers moved. Now the sky itself began to about-face the auto of progress. These windmills were added then symbols of innovation. They were engines of transformation. By harnessing wind energy, farmers could pump baptize from abounding lands, accomplishment absolute regions from the sea. The Dutch polder system, area fields lay below sea level, became one of the greatest achievements of beastly persistence. Unlike gravity-fed systems or river-powered norias, the windmill fabricated irrigation absolutely mechanical. Its bored blades spun ceaselessly, active apparatus that aerial or drained baptize at will. For the aboriginal time, humankind could adapt the acreage afterwards cat and mouse for nature's mercy. In these austere fields, cooperation was essential. Communities formed calm to advance the dikes, adjustment the sails, and ensure every circling served the accepted good. Thus, addition became capitalism in motion, powered not by kings or priests, but by the aggregate accent of the people. The alliance of wind and baptize apparent a axis point. From this moment onward, humanity's ability of accustomed armament would no best be acting or accidental. It would be deliberate, mechanical, and visionary. The accurate aurora of engineering as we apperceive it. From Persia's underground canets to the windmills of Europe, the adventure of medieval water apparent a axis point. From this moment onward, humanity's ability of accustomed armament would no best be acting or accidental. It would be deliberate, mechanical, and visionary. This was the accurate aurora of engineering as we apperceive it. From Persia's underground canets to the windmills of Europe, the adventure of medieval irrigation is the adventure of acuteness fabricated eternal. Anniversary culture, whether arid nomads, Asian rice farmers, or apostolic builders, begin its own way to accomplish baptize move and to accomplish activity possible. Amid them, the canet stands out as the best avant-garde of all. A masterpiece of ability that still breathes below the bank today. Its creators bear no engines, no electricity, alone an abysmal compassionate of earth, slope, and time. Theirs was technology in accordance with nature, not in acquisition of it. Yet every system, from the aboriginal terrace in Japan to the grandest aqueduct in Al-Andalus, aggregate one truth: irrigation was achievement fabricated tangible. It angry absence into community, aridity into design, and acceptance into abounding water. Through these age-old methods, altruism abstruse a assignment that avant-garde machines generally forget. That adjustment is not about domination but balance. Baptize flows wisely, so does civilization. And as continued as bodies abide to accept to the accent of rivers, the acumen of the Middle Ages will never absolutely dry up.